Welcome to Red Clay This Month, the show that brings to light important educational issues that affect the students in the Red Clay Consolidated School District in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Dr. Judith Conway, the Supervisor of Unified Arts here at Red Clay, and I'll be your host for this show. Welcome back to the 2018 through 2019 school year. As we've done in the past several years, we'd like this first Red Clay This Month show of the school year to focus on what's new and exciting here at Red Clay. So here to tell us and to start us off is Dr. Hugh Broomall, the Deputy Superintendent of the Red Clay Consolidated School District. Why, hello.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good, me too.
Start of another school year.
I know. It's always nice. It's always nice. You know, there are few, I always thought about this as my years as a teacher especially, that there are few professions where you really get a fresh start every year.
It is, and just the energy that comes with the start of a new school year. It's kind of like the start of football season with the Eagles.
Exactly.
New teacher orientation, the energy and excitement from the new teachers, and the administrators feed off of that. We at district office feed off of that. So we're excited for the 18-19 school year.
Excellent, excellent. So there's always so much happening in Red Clay. Can you share a few things? I will.
The big news is the retirement of Dr. Doherty. We've been fortunate to have him with us as our leader for 9 years, and he's really taken Red Clay off to places that we didn't expect 9 years ago with programs and just his energy around kids and learning. He's going to be missed, but we wish him the best of luck down in Virginia. We know he'll be successful there as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have always been so impressed with his focus on the students and what is best for students, and even things that in the past traditionally haven't been handled by schools, like trying to get wellness centers in our schools and looking for partners for getting kids eyeglasses, and all of those kinds of things that he's really pushed forward.
And I guess we can start there with one of the new things that are exciting is that at Warner Elementary now we'll have a wellness center at the elementary school, serving our Warner community. A doctor will be in there 2 days a week. And that got started with the first week of school. So they're already seeing kids, helping families. So that's one exciting program that got initiated with Dr. Doherty. But we've got a lot more. So I'm going to try and hit on as many as I can. Last school year, we were able to bring in a new math curriculum. So we have a new one for grades 6 to 8, illustrative math, and a new one for grades 9 to 12. It's called AGA. I forget the beginning of it, but new curriculums. It's been over a decade since we've updated the math curriculum at the secondary level, so I know our teachers were excited. We had a field tested it last year, so they're ready to get that rolling in their classrooms.
Yeah. I've talked to some teachers who were able to use that. They were part of that trying it out period to see that it was really going to work, and they spoke very highly of it, so I'm sure excitement is high.
A lot of excitement. We've also updated our grades 4 and 5 reading curriculum, so we're excited for that. Really trying to get in line with what our students need and what learning is like here in this century, with the use of the Chromebooks in the classroom. The whole world is at the disposal of our students.
Absolutely. And I know the librarians have been working very hard to make sure that every child in grades 3 to 12 has that Chromebook in their hand, and they're rolling out this week. Yes, they are.
The curriculum is based on that, so they're getting started. So other things with reading, we have an early literacy conference coming in October, open to the public. You just have to register, so we're excited for that, bringing in the community, our reading teachers.
I'm really excited for that as well. I know some of the presenters that are coming, I'm really excited to hear, and of course all my librarians are going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day, day. Some other things that we have new this year is our growth in our autism programming. We now have classrooms in all of our buildings. We have services. We've grown over 300% in just the last few years in the number of students that we're serving with autism. When we contribute that to the work of the teachers and the autism staff at the district office, they're doing a great job providing services for these kids in their home schools or their schools of choice.
Excellent. And you know something wouldn't grow that fast unless it was good.
No, they're doing a great job, Another new program this year is we have an equity office. It's being led by Dr. Tawanda Bond. really coming in to look at all of the practices in red clay, from curriculum to hiring. What are we doing? Are we making sure that we're able to provide diverse opportunities for our kids? Are they able to have diverse materials and learning materials? Are our employment practices, are we doing the best thing that we can to have our workforce really mirror the demographic of the district? So we're excited about the work that she's going to be doing with us as well this year.
Excellent. I've done just a little work with her already this year in terms of the vision statement for the librarians, in terms of diverse materials for our diverse community, and how to put that so that it's welcoming and apparent to people that all are welcome.
Yes. Yep, she's going to be doing a great job. We have a new red clay mobile app, so you can download it on iTunes or the Google Store. Really keep you up to date with information, can push right to your phone, know what's happening in the school, what's happening in the district. So we're excited that just launched last week with Facebook. So we're hoping to get as many people as we can to download the Red Clay app.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah. That's especially something that's mobile friendly.
Yep, right on your phone. You get a push notification and you can know what's happening in the schools. Another thing that's exciting and that we had the chance to experience firsthand at the last board meeting is the Red Clay food truck is now out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we had a delicious meal, cheesesteak. It was fantastic. So kudos to Jess and the crew there with the food truck. And that's really targeted to help students to get meals during time periods where meals aren't readily available, after school, weekends. So that food truck is there to serve the community.
I was talking to her about some summer plans she has too for this next summer that are going to be pretty exciting in terms of again, that idea that Red Clay really cares about its kids, and we don't want to see anyone be hungry, ever.
No, and they're doing some fun things too. If you go to some of the elementary schools I've been in recently, or Brandywine Springs and Shortridge and Warner, with the wraps that they have going on in the cafeterias, making it a more exciting place.
Right. These are wall wraps, not eating wraps, that are really colorful and welcoming and just a lot of fun.
It makes it a much nicer environment to have lunch for our kids. It's
almost
really
like you're
welcoming.
Eating at a restaurant.
Yes, and the food is restaurant quality.
Oh, yeah.
So that's some of the new initiatives that we have coming on this school year. I know you'll have our directors of schools coming up later to give some more detail, but we're really excited for the 18-19 school year and hope to see everybody in the community come out and support our students at the events, at the sporting events, the extracurriculars. We're looking forward to it.
Right, and we certainly do have a lot going on at our schools.
Yes, we do.
For people to be able to, it could be a full-time job, just come to our schools and go into this play or that concert or this football game or that basketball game or... Yeah,
lots of great things happening in Red Clay, so come participate.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that overview and the highlights of what's new. And we're going to take a little break now, but come on back. We'll have more to talk about on this topic.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here.
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcoming our next guest, Dr. Amy Grundy, who is the Director of Elementary Education Operations here at Red Clay. Oh, hey, Amy. I'm good. How about yourself?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Sure.
So we've been talking about the new school year, and I know that the approach that Red Clay takes in approaching education students can be summed up by supporting the whole child.
Correct.
So can you tell us what that really means and what programs really embody this philosophy?
Sure. Well, we really believe, and it's part of our strategic plan, that we really have to take a look at supporting the whole child. And so students who are not ready to learn probably won't learn. And so before we can focus on academics and building the strong foundation and providing opportunities in academics, we really have to say, what does the student need to be successful? And what we do in our district is we have a multi-tiered system approach where each school has a team that really looks at, first and foremost, developing school-wide expectations, setting expectations that every student is aware of, every student is taught, they understand what it looks like. So for example, if one of the school-wide expectations is for all students to be respectful, what does that look like in the hallway, when we're walking in the hallway? What does that look like when I'm using the restroom? Washing my hands, making sure I clean up after myself. What does it look like in the classroom? What does it look like on the school bus? And so when we have a system where all students are familiar with the school-wide expectations, that's the first level of helping students to be ready to learn. Beyond that, we then take a look at individual students and small groups of students. So if the school-wide expectations, if students are struggling meeting those expectations, what deeper supports do they need so that they can be successful and be ready to learn? So sometimes it means identifying an adult, a trusted adult in the building that a student can check in with in the morning, check in with at lunchtime, and perhaps at the end of the day to make sure that I'm organized, I know what I need to do when I get home. And again, in the morning, I circle back, recheck in so that I prepare for my day. So it's providing kids what they need so that they can be focused and ready to learn. Our students bring with them to school all sorts of different experiences at home. And when they arrive at school, we want to make sure that we are leveling the playing field and that all kids are ready to learn. So that's kind of where we are with just making sure that we are looking at the whole child and not just academics. You can't forge through the readiness piece and expect to have good achievement results.
Of course, we do pay attention to academics as well.
Absolutely.
But I think your point is well taken that it doesn't do any good to do that unless, like, if the child is upset or
Correct.
if the child is hungry. I know we do breakfasts everywhere in the district.
We do. There's an opportunity for students to eat breakfast. In some schools, based on population, it's universal free breakfast, and in some schools, students use their accounts to purchase breakfast, but it is available to all students. But to your point, yes, if their basic needs are not met, they won't be ready to learn. And so our teachers, our administrators, even student peers are familiar with sometimes a student sitting next to me needs something different than I need, and it's okay. And I think that we create an atmosphere and a culture that allows for that, and students understand that the student next to me, sometimes he does need to take a break. And that's okay, because then I understand in my classroom that he'll learn better if he gets his 5-minute break, or if he gets 5 minutes of technology time as a reward that I don't get. That's okay, because we've created a culture that identifies that that's what my friend needs. And our teachers support that as well. It's,
and when I need something, I'll get it too.
Absolutely. That's the culture that we work very hard to create and sustain in our district. So,
and sort of, it almost sounds like I'm switching topics, but I think I'm really not, in terms of what kids need to learn and how do we know that kids have learned it. We've started a new, we're not starting, we're continuing a standards-based grading report card.
Absolutely.
A standards-based grading practice, and that's reflected on the report card. So we didn't just start it, we've started it a while ago, so can you tell us sort of where we are and where we're going?
We've been very deliberate and systematic in our approach to rolling out the new report card. So it was conversation for years and years and years, and then finally we put it into action, and we created a plan to say this is how we're going to roll it out. We started small in a few schools, and this year we're going district-wide, first through third grade. And what it means is our ultimate goal is to have motivated learners. And so in traditional grading systems with young students, sometimes when they get a 0 or do poorly on an assignment, it's almost like they lose hope. And when they're young, we don't want that. We want to foster that love of learning. And so our goal is motivated learners, but also accurate reporting of grades. And so it's kind of twofold. During the school day, it has shifted the approach that teachers take to assessing students. They make sure that all their lessons and assessments align to standards. They assess, they see how a student is doing, they better understand what they've achieved and where the gaps are, and then they're able to fill those gaps. As opposed to kind of a one-and-done approach where I gave the assessment, he didn't do well, now I need to move on, because that's what we do. I taught it, they didn't learn it. So that mindset shift is occurring, and it's occurring at scale, where teachers are now thinking about learning. So not just teaching, but also learning. And when students are given the opportunity to understand what they can do well and what they're focused on and set goals around that, then we do achieve our goal of having more motivated learners. So this new grading approach is twofold. It's what happens during the school day, but then it's also how we report out to parents. And so they'll see a new, actually a very appealing to the eye grade report that will identify how students are doing on each of the standards, which standards were taught, how their students progress toward the standard. It will be very new and different to families, and that's okay because it's different than how you and I received our report cards when we were growing up, and for many of our parents, it'll be very different. But the rollout is happening such that report cards will come out on a Friday, and then parent conference days will be Monday and Tuesday. And so parents should, report card in hand, come meet with their teacher who will then better explain and hopefully alleviate any confusion or fears even as they look at the new report card. Because it'll provide more detailed information, and I think down the road they'll appreciate the shift that we're making.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I've seen the new report card, and to me, it's so much clearer in terms of what my child's strengths are and maybe what my child's weaknesses are. So rather than just one grade for reading, I can see the different skills, and boy, they're really good at word recognition. They're not so good at comprehending, at understanding, like putting those words together, like being able to tell back from a story. So I can help them with that. I can read them a story. I can ask them, oh, so what was that story about? And give them more practice, because, practice makes perfect, as they say.
Absolutely. And in addition to providing more information to parents, it also does provide more information to students, and probably most importantly, to teachers, because then it informs their next steps, and they better understand what individual students need, and they take a different approach to filling in those gaps and not kind of just taking a one-size-fits-all approach to teaching.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's been a good shift. Our teachers have been fabulous. Their plates are incredibly full, and they work very hard each day. And so with each new initiative, it's important that they understand the why behind it. And we spent a lot of time in June talking about the why. It was so important. And then hopeful in our deliberate implementation that we have rolled it out such that they feel supported. Most recently, we learned how to use our new reporting system, which is their grade book, and it's electronic. Again, a shift for many people. But in the end, when you believe that it's the right thing to do for kids, the right thing to do for the families of our district, our teachers have just been really wonderful, realizing that it is causing stress and anxiety, but knowing that we're going to support them and that it's okay if it takes a minute to learn. There's very few absolutes in grading, and so we're trying to create a culture where it's okay to collaborate with your colleagues, talk about it, make decisions, and then own those decisions, and if you have to adjust, you adjust. So we're trying to create a culture not of fear, but rather we're in this together, and we're going to implement it in such a way that if we make mistakes along the way, we'll adjust, and then
we'll fix them.
Yeah.
So change is hard for everybody.
It is.
And so, but I agree. I know my teachers who are involved in standards-based grading are I don't want to say exactly happy to do it.
Right.
They're committed
Absolutely.
to doing it well because they see that it's going to be better information for parents and students.
Absolutely. And it does push them to think a little differently about teaching, learning, assessing, and grade reporting. So
right.
And we're in this for continuous growth for adults as well.
Right.
So
Right. And the fact that it's standards-based, I think a lot of people don't really understand what standards are, but in my head, standards are what we have all agreed are important.
Correct.
Like reading. Well, what about reading? Well, children ought to be able to decode words. They ought to be able to understand what they read. They ought to be able to read with fluency. Correct. So that they can understand what they read. And the standards just kind of break that down, saying this is what needs to happen for kids to be able to read well, because we all agree that kids ought to be able to read well.
Absolutely. And another great feature is it extracts the learning behaviors or the things that sometimes get considered when grades are put on a report card. So if a student completes all their homework and it's an absolute pleasure to have in class because they're cooperative, right? They're cooperative, they help others. Those kind of behaviors will be reported to parents, because it's important that the parents understand what kind of student they're having in school, but they're not reflected in the academic learning. So you're not going to do well in school just because you complete your tasks. So for example, if you never do homework, but you do well on the assessment, that will be reflected that you understood the content, as opposed to 0 after 0 after 0 for not doing homework, and therefore the grade that's reported to parents doesn't accurately reflect learning, but rather non-compliance with completing homework. And so that's an important adjustment as well, that the learning behaviors are teased out, but still reported to parents, and then there'll also be narratives to provide additional information should that be needed. So it is a new total package that should give more information and be well accepted by families.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to take us a little time to get there.
Yep.
But I think the transition and the pain of the change, just because all change is painful, will be well worth it in the long run.
Agreed.
Now, another thing that we're doing is we've got a language immersion in a handful of schools that we've started in one case years ago, and in other cases just last year, adding more immersion classes to our roster. So how's that going?
It's going really well. So we have our second cohort of students. So our kindergarten students at Moat Elementary School, Spanish, Marbrook Elementary School, also Spanish, and Linden Hill, Mandarin. Our kindergarten students are now in first grade, and we have a new cohort of kindergarten students who are in these immersion programs. And the growth is just tremendous. It's amazing even at the beginning of a school year to see the progress that kindergarten students have made, but to go back this year and see the first grade students, it's just tremendous. So it's a great opportunity for families who are interested in a dual language approach. These programs, William C. Lewis is a full dual language school, and so that's a unique opportunity that's not available in many districts. And so that's our gem that really is focused on bilingual literacy for the entire school population.
And I was really excited that we were, of course, continuing it, because the students who started are now in 6th grade. So they've been through 6 years, K to 5, of the dual language approach, and they still have that opportunity in 6th grade to continue learning Spanish and to continue learning a subject in 6th grade. It's social studies in the target language.
And that's tremendous, and I hear it's going very well over at the middle school.
I just saw the teacher yesterday.
I've heard great things. So we're very excited for the students in our 3-strand programs too. So parents in those feeder patterns who are interested in a traditional program have that option, but now there's an option for dual language as well. And I think in this day and age, students who learn a second language at a young age will have additional opportunities as they continue through the system and then into the world of college and career. So it is something that we're doing for young learners that's preparing them for the world that they're going to be entering.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many people, when they hear that I supervise the world language teachers, they think I speak another language, which I don't, and I sincerely regret it, but that's what they say to me.
Right.
Oh, I wish I could speak another language fluently. They would, and I think a part of that wish is the economic success that they would have because of that. You know, they would get paid more money, they would have more opportunities, but you have to start it when kids are learning languages, and that means somebody older, I'll just put my somebody older has to really help push that for kindergartners and first graders so that we continue it all the way through. And my goodness gracious, the 6th graders, they're amazing in terms of their use of language, and especially academic language. And so I can only imagine the way they'll be as high school seniors. and then the opportunities they'll have for scholarships in college and beyond college career opportunities because they're bilingual.
Yeah, I think that Red Clay does a nice job of creating opportunities for kids with the foresight of looking to the future and future success, and that happens as evidenced by these programs in kindergarten. And so, yeah. And what else is very interesting about the program, as an adult who visits the classroom, one of the requirements is that the teacher speaks only in the target language, and anybody in the room only speaks in the target language. And so when you go to observe or visit, it's just critical that you either learn a few words in the target language or you just listen, because that's the protocol, and that's the protocol that we support.
Yes,
so,
yes. And we're in it for the
true
long
immersion.
Yeah, we're in it for the long game.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving us that little 3 different areas where we're as examples to how Red Clay is always moving forward.
Yeah. It's my pleasure to be here, because it's great stuff that's going on, and I think it's important that we share it. So,
thanks. Yeah. Thanks for being with us. We're going to take a little break now, but stay with us. Next, we're going to talk to Sam Golder, who is in charge of all the secondary schools in Red Clay.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
In Red Clay, there's more to being a school nurse than just giving out Band-Aids. Sure, we help prevent the spread of flu and other diseases, but did you also know that we work with physicians to coordinate care? We administer medication and manage chronic disease. We coordinate sports physicals and provide education to students, staff, and communities. We deal with stomach aches, sprains, and nosebleeds. We conduct screenings for hearing, vision, and so much more. Plus, we document it all. And sure, we give out the occasional Band-Aid or 2 as well. Red Clay Nurses, keeping your kids healthy is what we do best.
Welcome back. Our next guest is Sam Golder, who is in charge of all of the secondary schools in Red Clay, and his official title is Director of Secondary Education Operations. So, join me in welcoming Sam. Well, hey, Sam.
Hey, how you doing, Judith?
I am good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming.
You bet.
Oh, it's always great fun to start a new school year, isn't it?
It is. We're excited at the secondary level for sure. I had an opportunity to visit a couple schools just this morning, as a matter of fact, and energy level is high and people are raring to go.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Now, something I notice about at least the high schools, that they all seem to have like their own distinct program, their own distinct flavor. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's something that was sort of part of our strategic plan 5 or 6 years ago, was to give each of our high schools a very specific theme. We like to think in Red Clay that we have something for everybody in our high schools. And if you go through, we have now the Magnet School for the Arts for Cab Calloway.
Yes, we do.
Magnet School for Science with Conrad. And now our comprehensive high schools have sort of taken their own flavor. AI High School has an early college academy where they've partnered with Wilmington University, where students are able to earn upwards of 21 to 27 credits by the time they walk out the door at AI High.
And that's just amazing. I mean,
spectacular.
Just not only to imagine the challenge for kids, like really interesting stuff to do, but the fact that they can prove to themselves that they could do it.
No question. And Wilmington's been a wonderful partner for us. We do quite a bit of dual enrollment work with Del Tech and with the University of Delaware as well. but none packaged quite this way, the way that it is at AI High, where the students really have a very prescriptive set of coursework that they work their way through toward graduation, and they leave with just about a freshman year of college behind them.
Imagine just the savings, the cost savings. Oh my goodness.
I can tell you as a parent, I would appreciate that program hang around for a little while.
Yes, yes. Well, we're always thinking the long game at Red Clay, so
doubt.
I'm sure it will.
No doubt. So right here at Thomas McCain High School, we've made this sort of our VOTech hub, and McCain's facilities are outstanding. This very TV station that we're working on here today was a result of quite a bit of planning and preparation on the part of our career and technical folks. They have a commercial kitchen here at McCain. John Dickinson has programming in CTE as well. And Dickinson, of course, has the IB program as well, International Baccalaureate. So it's such a wonderful, diverse set of offerings we have in Red Clay. And that's not even to mention the 2 charter schools that we authorize as well. Charter School of Wilmington, a math and science charter school, and Delaware Military Academy and Naval ROTC. So we really do believe that if you're an 8th grade student that lives in this area, we leave no stone left unturned, and we're able to find something that will pique your interest in one of our 7 high school offerings.
And one of the things that we did last year that I think so helps, since you're talking about 8th graders trying to make a choice, is the high school course catalogs that we've put online that even should you go to one school and choose to change to another, that our courses are not necessarily universal, but like the basic courses, 9th grade English is 9th grade English, and you'll be able to go to 10th grade English somewhere else. But so there's that aspect of it, but then there's also just being able to look at it online and get some more information about these specific profiles, these specific identities for each school to be able to make a choice.
Absolutely. That was something we felt was real important to us, that course catalog. We hadn't had one that was that organized, really, in my
Right.
entire
Every
tenure
school
here.
just had their own.
Correct. And now with, few people really know how much transience we have in Red Clay as well. Students do bounce from building to building in Red Clay because our feeder patterns are so close together in some of our areas.
Oh, right. So you move 4 blocks and now you're in a different school.
So that type of consistency was real important for us. That's one of the reasons we keep all of our high schools on a very similar master schedule as well, for that very reason. With our distance learning labs, it keeps everybody right around the same, so I can watch an Italian class taught right here at McCain. Well, I can watch Italian over at Conrad, and I can take Italian for my foreign language. It's very innovative, and you don't see that in a lot of secondary schools at this point.
Right.
And we're proud of the diverse set of offerings we have in Red Clay. We really are.
And I think it's, again, another way that we really put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, to take care of every single child that comes through our system.
I agree with you. And this school, McCain, is a great example of that. So their focus on career and technical education serves a community that sometimes is left a bit forgotten in the academic world. There are people out there that see everyone as a college-going student. I am one of those that does not necessarily believe that. I believe you have to have programming in your schools that prepare a subset of your student population to go to work and to start in a trade or to go and get a job. We didn't have a ton of programming in Red Clay that was adequate for that subset of students. Now, right here at McCain, I know I might be moving into question 2 a little bit here.
Oh, that's right. I was just going to say, you talked about pathways.
Did you notice how that segue?
You are a master
Thank
at
you.
that.
I appreciate that.
You are a master at that.
Right here at McCain, they've now hired a work-study coordinator. And that work-study coordinator position, when it gets really going in fully, is going to be a person that goes out to the work site and takes a look at what kids are doing, collaborates with employers on skill sets that every employer says our kids don't have when they leave high school. The ability to
right, as a nation, not just Red Clay, right?
The ability to communicate, the ability to use email with proper terminology, the ability to look somebody in the eye when you speak to them. You know, these types of soft skills in the workplace are often underappreciated, and our students come out of high school sometimes without those skills. And we hear it all the time when we talk to folks in the workforce, and we're going to make that a priority here in the next few years with our work-study programs at our high schools.
Right, right. And it always bothers me that they call those soft skills. I don't think they're soft. I think they're essential.
Right.
Like if you can't successfully present yourself,
no question,
you're not going to be as successful as the kid who can.
And it's any profession.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
so
yeah,
anybody
yeah,
who says
anything.
This profession, you don't need that, I would argue with that. I really would. I think that kind of skill set takes you far, regardless of what you want to do. Cures a lot of ills for you, too. A guy like me who's real good at that kind of stuff, it kind of got me through when maybe I might not have been great at everything else. But that kind of skill set, my teachers were hanging on my every word. It got me right through high school.
But speaking of high school, we have pathways in high school. So again, your theme of we can appeal to everybody. We have, oh my goodness, between our pathways and our programs of study, which are really kind of the same thing, I can't imagine a kid not finding something of interest.
Right, so each high school student needs to complete a 3-year pathway as part of a graduation requirement. And each of our comprehensive high schools have probably between 7 to 10 choices of what your career pathway could be. And they vary from radio and TV all the way to farming and agriculture, to animal science, to graphic arts, to auto tech, to business.
World languages.
World languages we have added now to a career pathway. So it really is everything from soup to nuts at this point. You know, what's interesting is we've done a lot of research on job availability in relation to our work-study program as well. You know, Lou Mingione, who heads up our career and technical education, Lou does a great job. And that's sort of been a new emphasis for us. We used to have programs in place for career and tech that kids enjoyed, but didn't necessarily lend themselves to the next step, which is, what do I do now that I've taken this 3-year
Right, what am I qualified to do? What jobs are out there where I can do this stuff that I love?
Right, so we're trying to build certification programs now. So in our culinary area, students are leaving with a certification. Auto tech, leaving with a cert. You know, we try to have people ready for the world.
Even in world languages, we have a cert.
It's true, and now they can get the multiliteracy credit.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah, right. The multiliteracy certification, which is proof. You know, you don't have to believe me that I can speak this other language well. Here's my certification.
You bet. So what can I leave tangible in my hand as a student? What can I leave with from my high school? And I think we're providing more opportunities in that way for students that are not necessarily going to go to college, which is okay.
Right, absolutely.
We need to understand that. That's okay. And we need to make sure that they're ready for their next step.
Right. There are lots of opportunities out there for people that don't require college education, and you know, you can be very successful, but you have to have your soft skills and you have to have your certifications.
You bet, and a willingness to work hard.
Yes.
That'll get you a long way.
Yes. My last question is about some changes that we've gone through recently. We have 3 new secondary principals. So can you tell us a little bit about our new leaders? I mean, change is inevitable in an organization this large where people go on to the next step or whatever. So tell us about our people who we are their next step.
What a great group we have here in secondary schools. You know, we really, although change is inevitable, we have been relatively stable from a building administrator standpoint in secondary schools.
For a long time, yeah.
I mean, I've been in this particular position for 9 years, and I have supervised, for the most part, the same group of people in those 9 years. So this is different for me this year, having a few brand new principals in my group. So Damon Saunders is the new principal of John Dickinson High School. Damon is a Dickinson alumnus, which is very exciting for him and for the community. He played football there, was a great football player for the school, and he brings a sort of a very tangible vibe to the building because he loves the school. He's an alumnus. He played football there. He's rah-rah. And you know, there's a lot of positive energy over there surrounding Damon as the new principal.
Right, and he has a situation much like Cabin Conrad where he's got kids from grades 6 to 12 there.
He does, and that's only a few years in now. But,
right.
But Dickinson's middle years IB program has become a very popular choice in Red Clay.
Oh, yes.
They're up over 300 students now in their middle school. Their middle school is almost as large as their high school at this point. So we're excited about that program. It's been a successful program and one that we continue to look to grow in upcoming years. So that's my new principal at John Dickinson High School. Real excited about that. Kurt Bedford comes to us from the Christina School District, where he was an administrator there for quite some time. He was principal at Newark High School for right around a decade.
Oh, wow.
And then worked...
I started my career out at
Did
Newark
you really?
High School. I did.
How about that?
Did,
Yellow
yeah.
Jacket.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So he's come on board now. He's very excited. He's never done the K-8 structure. I mean, not many folks have because it's a very unique structure. So he's learning the ropes on K-8, but he brings a world of experience from Christina. He really does. He even worked in their district office the last few years. So he's got a great command. He understands the big picture from being a district office administrator. And already the parents at Brandywine Springs are just saying tremendously positive things about Mr. Bedford. And
my interactions with him as far as the Unified Arts folks are concerned has been very positive, very supportive.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And then third, recently Dr. Tawanda Bond was promoted into our district office as our new equity officer. So that left us an opening at Stanton Middle School. And Dr. Lurleen Black has come to us from the Capital School District, and she's off to just a superstar. Dr. Black and I go back about 10 years when she was an English teacher at AI High School.
Oh, yes, she reminded me that she used to work at AI High.
Absolutely. And she was a super English teacher, and I've got great expectations that she's going to be a super principal as well. So we're thrilled about all three of the new building principals in Red Clay. They seem like they're going to fit right into our crazy group of administrators and continue to press forward with our strategic plan of getting our secondary students future ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's our librarian logo too, that our Red Clay libraries are future ready.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Sam, so much for stopping and in your busy schedule and coming and sharing all this with us. I really appreciate it. I'm sure our audience appreciates it as well.
You bet. Thanks for having me on the show. I always enjoy coming in. I love being on TV, Judith.
I know. I think your next career is going to need to be, I don't know,
I
sports?
keep saying that, but I'm getting a little old for a second career. But we'll see.
Never happen. Look at how old some of our senators are.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you can stay around for a long time. You have plenty of time for another career.
Appreciate the love.